Hey everybody, welcome back. We are coming up with some awesome Overwatch. Team CC versus Legend Young Beyond coming up next. Joined on the desk by Young Volamel and Old Mushu Beef. Hey guys, how's it going? Volamel first, dude. It's been a while, man. I think it's been like 3-4 weeks for us now.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey through Chinese Contenders. It's been fun so far, and we've got a couple more weeks left. So let's end on a high note. And I think this match is definitely going to be a good one.
I don't want to take us too far off track, but I will say this. You have the best polo game in all of esports.
See, I was told that I look like I'm wearing pajamas because I have like this romantic lighting. So it's a little bit odd. I appreciate the compliment, but I also want to, let everybody know at home that I am ready. And this is, a fitted polo. So don't worry. I didn't roll out of bed. We're here. We're ready to cast and analyze some Chinese.
I am a little bit of a connoisseur of style. so you should definitely believe me.
I trust you. I trust you.
Also joining us is none other than Broadcast.gg elite and alumni. We don't have him on camera right now, but we can hear him. It's like they say he's got a face for radio.
Yeah, and that's where normally we leave that off air, KT, but now you're just revealing the secrets, and I'm just going to be the voice in the background. Right. But anyways, carry on.
All right, well, let's talk about these two teams here. Joe, this is a struggling Legend Young Beyond versus a Team CC who's, kind of battling, for top of Group B, right? Group B, yes, I believe. Yes. So what are the implications here for this match? Why is this match important?
So when we look at the two groups, there's a very clear narrative involved where Group A is kind of very set in stone, kind of definitive. We know who's, progressing and we know who's not. Group B, however, like we saw last match, it's a little bit harder to predict. There's predictions going left and right. Nobody's actually quite certain exactly what's happening. There's a clear pattern that Group B is just a lot closer. So either one of these teams still is in the running for their playoff seed, and a victory today, decisive, would help, but a victory nonetheless is going to kind of help them solidify that playoff seed coming into 2 weeks from now, I want to say.
Moosh, I gotta ask you, man, what are you most looking forward to in this match coming up?
I'm most looking forward to seeing if Team CC can actually bounce back and be the team that we know they can be. Again, they lost to was Lucky Future last week, who just got beaten by Moss 7 Club, by the way, guys. So what is going on in this group? What is going on in Chinese Contenders? But anyways, yeah, to see, can they bounce back? Again, this is the academy team for Shanghai Dragons, right?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So, I mean, they should definitely be doing
much better.
We know they got it in them, so looking forward to see this. And I think LYB, of course, as Vaughn was saying too, it's pretty clear they gotta rise to the occasion. They gotta shut down water.
All right, well, let's go ahead. We've got our first map ready. We're going to Oasis with your casters, one amongst many, and the one and only Panda the Manda. Go ahead, guys, take it away.
Thank you so much, KT. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to Oasis. Welcome to a startling new series. A team, one of the top teams in Group B against one of the teams down the lower bracket, but there's not really too much difference between the top and the bottom of the brackets here. Like, there's a lot to play for, Pokemon Panda.
There is so much to play for here, one amongst many, and especially when the stakes is this hot and this ready coming into Oasis, we're going to see just how ready the Shanghai Dragons Academy team is against this full Korean roster of LYB. As we're just loading in here to University, my own personal favorite map, gonna have mirror matchups more or less, besides a few core differences here with the Ana for Team CC and a Farah coming out here for Water, one of his favorite heroes. Gotta be careful from the Peacekeeper coming out from here from Park.
Yeah, Water just takes a couple of shots there, ends up dropping down to the Diva, just comes in, and Sejin scoops up the kill, and Team CC wasting no time at all. And I do want to harken back to something that was mentioned, like these are the Shanghai Dragons Academy team, and I'm going to make a controversial statement, perhaps, that Shanghai Dragons did not have the best first season. And so, good performances here, like, really do matter for these guys, because maybe things will change up for Shanghai Dragons, and good performances throughout the Contenders, well, that puts them in with a look, perhaps, at greater things in the Overwatch League.
definitely will say a lot about their coaching staff and everything else and how they're influenced as well. Taking the point first, however, and giving the nano boost immediately over to Jakirin is the side of Kaio. So it's a very interesting decision, just that over sustainability will give him the quicker charge for the Earth Shatter, which will give way, and maybe for this flank for K-Heart will come up huge with the Deadeye as they're setting it up just now.
He's looking for it, but doesn't actually find anything. Does end up, though, spotting out Insane, who I actually believe is the coach for Legend Young Beyond. He's sort of stepped in to play that hit scan hero. He's known for it somewhat to come in and play, but Team CC putting on a clinic so far. They're in firm control, just rationing out those ultimates as well. They have another nano boost almost coming online. It's going to be curious to see where they're going to put that. Where do you think it's going to go? I reckon Jikiran, probably?
More than likely, absolutely. Over to Jikiran.
I mean,
it's so huge! You gotta check your corners!
And he just manages to scoop up absolutely everybody, and the kills are just there to follow it up. Team CC just demonstrating, putting their namesake to the test as they drop the CC, drop the hammer, and bring everybody down. Legend Young Beyond, they're going to try and claw their way back into this one. They have a Graviton Surge to try and do it, but they got to make miracles happen now.
And they only used one ultimate to cycle through the Team CC did, so they're going to still have this nano boost and the sound barrier to play around from both their supports. Probably still going to be thinking to go over to Jakirin, but with Mag coming over close, dropping low, and he's bound to die with the Earth Shadow. This Graviton Surge, he's come up huge. No kills to come out of it, OAM, and we're going to end up having a convincing team fight victory and University going over to Team CC here.
Team CC starting out by putting on a clinic, running that Ana as well. We saw it come out earlier from Moss 7 Club. Definitely didn't look quite as strong coming out of these guys, but Team CC, they want to play. They want to play hard. They are not letting anything go here. But we're going to change it up now. We're going to Gardens, a very different map, very sky-oriented quite often. And it looks like Yakumo will be bringing out that Pharah. The question is, how are LYB going to handle this one? It looks like they want to play something a little bit more divey, but with triple support.
This is a very interesting decision coming out from LYB, but it is the dive-eccentric meta that they like to push the South Korean roster altogether. Water has been heavily suppressed thus far. Yakumo has been showing up, however, and this is exactly what Team CC needs to come back after that loss from the previous weeks. Insane and Water need to have extreme synergy with Mag to come up huge on this somewhat core dive composition of LYB.
So Insane is going to set himself up. The Winston goes in a little bit early there, and actually Yakumo with a very fast kill there onto the Moira. The thing with Moira is you need to keep her alive so she gets that healing, she gets that build-up of ultimate, gets that coalescence power spike that analysts love talking about so very much. And if you don't get that, then a lot of the value of that hero does start to melt away. But Legend Young Beyond, to their credit, are staying in this one. That triple support, giving them the durability to sort of endure the damage, and they actually managed to flip the point for themselves, just enduring and fighting back.
The versatility of this Shield Maiden is just impeccable. I mean, no matter where you are, the second that Inspire is procced her passive, there's so much healing coming out from the cleave damage of her whip shot. Every single one of her moves just giving so much healing as long as you're just playing around the Brigitte, as well as the dive just comes heavily in water with a Swift Strike and one kill.
Yeah, he flows on through the enemy team, just scoops up that Ana, no problem. Of course, one of the vulnerabilities of that hero. Yakumo does have the barrage available to him, but he's just going to back off. The Team CC recognizing that this fight isn't going in their favor. They're going to regroup on the point, in the spawn rather, and try and make their way back. But Legend Young Beyond going to be sitting on pretty much all 6 ultimates very soon.
And I'm really scared for Team CC as well. To your point, OAM, Kaio on this Ana, not the most mobile support in the world. Very wondering why we don't have a defensive ultimate such as Zenyatta to combat it against Water's Dragon Blade that's inevitably coming in. Here it is!
Yeah, he's looking for it, but the barrage comes in over the top, manages to actually scoop up a lot of damage there. Doesn't get too many kills, but certainly puts a clinic of hurt on. Team CC just committing hard at the moment. They want to take this point back for themselves, scoop up the Lucio. There we go. Bish, bash, bosh. They have done it and flipped themselves back here. And now Legend Young Beyond, they're going to have the hard task of pushing into a Pharah.
Yeah, and that's exactly one of the more difficult parts, especially with this full dive composition, is you're just going to have to deal with the Pharah in the sky.
She's going to try and control choke points. She's going to try and put some spam down, get those barrages nice and early. We hear the rally going off, though. They want to get something done nice and early on this push. There goes the Diva Bomb to try and buy some time. Looks like a Sleep Dart might have gone out, but looks like some damage went on as well, so Tracer could actually just recall that one as the Ana does go down. So vulnerable there to just being ran at, basically, and that's what Brigitte love to do to various heroes. K-Heart not quite finding the stick, unfortunately, but Yakumo still in the sky. The ever-present threat of the Pharah. He's going to put a timer on the enemy team, but Water, he's going to run out that timer. He's managed to find one kill so far, deleting the D.Va at the very least, manages to get a lot of damage onto that Winston, and now even dueling the Pharmacy in the skies. They are being pushed off the point here, and Legend Young bringing it back here on Oasis.
And this is exactly what they need as well, just coming back strong, holding down to their core dive roots, just really pushing to the brink against Team CC, showing their grit, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of pressure. Like, when we looked at Legend Young Beyond, we did highlight Water as sort of being one of those things where if Water shows up, then he can really start to put a high impact on this game. He seems to be doing so far. We have the Nano Barrage going in, though. The mother-daughter wombo combo drops in, scoops up a quadra kill there. Have you seen anything like it in pro level Overwatch? Probably not so often, as Barrages tend not to get that many results. Good lord, ladies and gentlemen. Yakumo and Kyo teaming up for a big old combo.
You don't get juicier than that, OAM, and especially when you have Ana and Farah on the same exact team. You might as well throw the Nano over to the Barrage. There's so much versatility. Take less damage in the sky. You might as well say the entire voice line 2 times over there. But you're going to be walking in here as LYB has both DPS ultimates and the Coalescence from Wolfplay as well. So that's a lot of versatility from this team as well. One more team fight will convincingly give them the victory here on the Gardens.
Yeah, I mean, one of the big things with this team comp that Team CC are running is they don't have a Transcendence. They don't have a good way of dealing with these Dragon Blades, and you just saw him dash down the Coalescence there, scoop up a pile of kills, and now Insane is just free to rampage away on the point. Looks like LYB, they want to flip this one over. They want to scoop up GQ Ren. They even deny the last health pack. He doesn't manage to scoop it up, get staggered out, and now there's only a couple of percentage points. They've got to get someone on the point stat.
You gotta get someone on the point, and you almost really wish that you didn't lose your Winston there, as well as that's the person that could have been there in time, and he won't. In fact, nobody will. And Gardens is gonna go over, but not convincing enough to the side of LYB. We got ourselves a match.
Yeah, I mean, when we started this one out, it felt like Team CC were in complete 100% control of this series, and now LYB, well, they've started to spring this one back. So if Team CC maybe get a little bit off kilter, maybe they lose a little bit of momentum here, they could get stood up, and there's no map better for losing momentum than City Center. Expect some long fights, ladies and gents.
The longest fights, especially. I mean, you see Akuma already hanging around Brigada themselves. LYB this time, they're going to put water on one of the most prominent heroes here for City Center. Farah is going to be very devastating for Team CC when they walk in here. Heart is going to have to go huge, absolutely huge. K-Heart has to land these shots on to the Farah Mercy almost and take them out of the sky himself. Lands one, but not the final blow.
So the question is, does Team CC believe in the K-Heart of the Widow? Let's find out. He's trying to get the Tracer in line of sight, but Insane goes in, just gets rid of Sentry, puts that one to bed. The Mercy dropping straight away. He's just putting all the favors in. And I've got to mention again, Insane, I believe, is the coach for LYB. He does sometimes sub in and play for the team, does sometimes pick up that hit scan role, and he's doing so well with it with Legend Young Beyond at the moment, as they just rampage through Team CC and take the point.
That is absolutely right. This is, in fact, the coach that you are riding along with on the Tracer for LYB. In for Sweet, normally sitting on the hit scan role, but always likes to party on with the rest of his team, like you said, OAM. They're going to be able to walk into this next team fight very swimmingly, rather. They're going to end up having a Primal Rage here momentarily, along with a Valkyrie ultimate as well. You know, we keep on talking about this versatility and sustainability across for both these teams, and it seems to be heavily in the favor of LYB, but Team CC will be nearing a rally, so they're going to be able to have a nice long team fight here momentarily.
Yeah, it looks like the Mercy just drops straight away. The dive on point for Legend Young Beyond. You can see the problem with just running into these Faras. She is so good at controlling these choke points. She's so good at putting that damage in. Oh, D.Va. Oh, you gotta find the traffic love. You need to respawn. Water scoops that one up, does them a favor. They're gonna be running into a barrage next push, and that's never a comfortable position. When you're running through a doorway, well, justice could rain from above at any moment.
Justice could rain from anywhere at any given time as well. We're almost nearing 6 ultimates here for LYB. They're just kind of hanging out, and the world is their oyster. It's almost their game to lose here on City Center when they can just tap into the ult economy and just pull out one at a time. Water just sitting above, looking for this very cheeky barrage. Gonna fly right over top of them. Oh, no!
It's a bit of a disaster. Sentry goes down again super early. Legend Young Beyond perhaps scouted out that this might be a weakness for them. The Mercy has just been picked off every single start of the fight. Don't get me wrong, it's been a really nice little opening from Mag, for example, jumping in and manages to get the damage on. But you cannot let this Mercy die that often, especially if you're running with a Brigitte, especially if you're running with a McCree. You have the tools. You need to deploy them appropriately. And if Team CC don't start doing that soon, well, that Mercy's going to drop every time and you're just going to get cleaned up.
pincer fight in between with the Pharah up the top and Insane just blinking and passing everywhere, especially when you don't have time to check your corners. It's going to be devastating when those pulse pistols get in the back of your Zenyatta, who's just nearing the Transcendence as well. Almost an overtime is, but LYB's not even giving Team CC the room to breathe.
Yeah, though Team CC spring this one back. K-Hart coming up big with that McCree Deadeye, managing to get rid of the tanks. They finally started protecting. They finally started pushing out this Winston. Stop letting Mag get away with murder, and they actually managed to come back and flip the point for themselves. So Team CC pressuring out now. They're going to try and control these choke points, but they have nothing to contest the skies except for K-Hart, so he's going to have to perform here.
Yeah, over-eager positioning here from LYB is going to be punished, especially by Team CC. Any unwanted dive into their backline is going to be bashed in by a shield. And here comes a fantastic stick by Insane. No kills quite yet, but the fight is ensuing.
Yep, K-Hart just being pressured out at the moment. Does have Deadeye available, does have the Mercy supporting him as well. Even just getting launched around by the Winston. They're going to have to back away as he calls out what time it is. You know what time it is, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for Legend Young Beyond to get the hell off Team CC's point, apparently, as they do continue to hold on to this choke point. Legend Young Beyond, they're going to find their way back in, and pushing with fire is not the easiest task in the world.
Not at all, indeed. And we were speaking about how K-Hart really needed to show up against the pharmacy of LIV, doing just so. One of the talking points, especially, to keep water suppressed so far, doing all right on the tail end of City Center, but again, losing one team fight could be devastating. Rally coming through from Yakumo is going to help out Shakurin on this front line as he has the primal rage to go that much deeper.
Oh, Century, not in 100 years do you want to be the first one dying as Mercy, and it just feels so bad seeing it happen time and time again. Legend Young Beyond with advantage at the moment, as it looks like the Zenyatta just going to try and stall this one out for Team CC. They have the healing on the point to actually survive for a long time, but now with Hanbin coming in, scooping up KIO, he's going to be out of the fight. There goes the rest of the support lineup. Century's trying to make his way back in, but the tanks are just there suppressing him out. This is City Center. Fights tend to go long here, and now with K-Hart popping up on that Tracer, getting back to the point as fast as he can to try and get the kills. It actually looks like Team CC might be doing it. They have the sticking power, they have the damage as well. Beautiful bit of shooting going down, making Water's life miserable as he does get picked off. And now, well, Legend Young Beyond, they did for the point. They're going to be careful, they're going to get on it. They don't touch it. And it looks like LYB, yeah, they take it. They do it.
Nobody there in time. K-Hart was just wrapping around the corner, one blink left, and just a half a second away from the cooldown, just barely misses the point in time. You hate to see that kind of thing happen, OAM, but unfortunately, Hanabin did not get punished when he was in the Pilot Diva, and that is just devastating. Very close to death on Pilot Diva, got the remake, but it was Vanilla Overwatch that gave LYB the advantage in that final moment. Pharah in the sky, a massive amount of direct rockets coming through from Water, and Insane really tapping into his inner strength and easy cleanup going into that backline.
Yeah, and Insane series. Looks like we've seen two separate teams in the first half and the second half of that map. Who knows who is going to up on the next map? We will find out as soon as we can. We'll bring it straight to you here at Broadcast.gg, covering Contenders China. We'll be back in a couple of minutes' time with the next map in this exciting series between Team CC and Legend Young Beyond. We've got a cracker on our hands, ladies and gents. Don't go anywhere.
Check this, got one more for the set list. Walk in the spot and I drop one track, know who the best is. Walk in the rave like check this, got one more for the set list.
the switch. I wanna break the lock. I know what makes you tick. We used to be.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Overwatch Contenders China. I am Josh, one amongst many Pimpin, joined by the one and only Pokemon Panda. I've changed up by my friend Ryan for someone a little bit different at the moment, and we're going to our next map between Team CC and LYB, and I'll let you introduce it, Panda. Where are we going?
Well, we are headed to King's Row. It seems to be the most infamous hybrid map of Chinese Contenders. It's going to be pretty popular, in my opinion, for the playstyle of all Chinese Contenders teams. They love their dive-eccentric meta. They love to play it with Widowmaker as well. Especially when you're looking at Team CC for their opening attack, expect it to be fully around K-Heart's Widowmaker. But LYB, this is one thing that's always interested me, is that Masubi is on Lucio. Preferred hero, by the way, and they have the Ana as well with Brigitte. So that is so much sustainability, but it is so much pressure for Insane, who is still in the game on Hanzo, the sole DPS.
It's very, very, like, you have a very high aggression comp there, right? Masubi on Lucio, Water on the Brigitte, you expect them to, like, run at them. But I love the Reaper coming out here from K-Heart, because if they run into this, well, that's a couple of shotguns gonna blast you down.
And they don't have all of the mobility in the world outside of the Lucio speed boost. Once that's up and out of the way and you can't phase shit out of there, you are just getting decimated. But it's comes down to a lot of your front line just getting in there as well. And then speaking of Insane, he's insane.
Yeah, Insane is clearly popping off. He's just doing the work here on the Hanzo. 73% already on that Dragon Strike. And K-Heart just wasn't involved in that fight, going for a lengthy flank there, not managing to find any results. Personally, I'm a big fan of the Reaper, but I love watching him sort of charge more head on. You see that Mag also on 90% charge. He's going to be looking for something big here.
And speaking of charging on ahead, is Kieran just charging well past, almost going underneath the archway, misses everything and anything, really, not picking up anything with that charge. Convincing defense coming out again for LY, and that's exactly what they want. More time to charge Hanbin's grab to get a little bit closer to this Dragaton combo that we know and love today in this current patch. That will be a team fight victory, but Team CC nearing their own. One that has been heavily snuffed out is K-Heart on this Reaper, has yet to really find anything, and you have to wonder here, OAM, why we don't see the Widowmaker coming out to elongate this team fight, or even a Pharah against Insane's Hanzo.
Yeah, you really do expect to see something quite like that. As again, Sentry just gets taken down so early. Once again, K-Heart has to back away. These engages are just getting shut down so early, partially off the back of just Insane landing some insane shots here and there, but also the aggression from LYB. They are just giving them absolutely nothing at the moment. GCC just seem to be struggling to make their way forward, and like K-Heart, he's barely done anything all game long.
60% to his ult charge too. This is now 2 minutes into the entire attack. No ticks to show for their worth so far, and I'm still questioning why you would still want to hang out on the Reaper itself against a sniper like Insane, who's actually landing his shots. Graviton Surge coming through with the Dragons just to go ahead and finalize it, but they actually put the Nano Boost onto Jakiri, and Kaio gonna go ahead and throw that one away along with the Graviton Surge. That is actually huge OAM for their attack.
Yeah, they just threw everything but the kitchen sink out there at the moment, but crucially, K-Heart is still alive. He's still involved in this fight on this Reaper, does have Death Blossom available to him as well. He's trying to pressure out this Hanzo. Beautiful job there by Legend Young Beyond to control that Death Blossom, actually manages to stun it up and just nullify its effect. Ursula now coming out from the offense. They're trying to secure this one as they have a big old brawl here on the point, but it looks like GCC still holding on, just trying to clutch on this one, but Legend Young Beyond pushing their way back. Mag's gone huge. He's got the Ana. They're pumping healing into him. Reinhardt's on drugs, clearly, as he's just destroying people with that Ana, pumping him full of healing.
Oh yeah, and well play, and Kaio still being neck and neck as far as ult charge is concerned, but you can take a look at for Masubi, 30% to the next sound barrier. Sentry just 91% to the first, so it's anything to show with how little gain Team CC has against here and how much worth Insane has on this defense, just lobbing in a pair of dragons towards the spawn room doors of Team CC.
Like, I am so baffled here. Team CC started this series so decisively, and now it looks like they're going to get full hell here on King's Row, and they're barely making a dent, it feels like, on Legend Young Beyond. They have been in control this entire time. They're setting themselves up now for yet another push. K-Heart again going for the same flank that he's gone for time and time again, been spotted out by the Hanzo at the moment. Rally goes off for the defense just to keep them alive. Grab goes in, manages to scoop up a number of them. Can Late Young be what they need to bring this one back? It looks like he is, as K-Heart gets the shotguns in, is finally getting the damage out, and at the last breath, they've managed to bring this one forward.
And overtime finally comes on through. Everything else gets blown away, but that's a-okay because LIB is all fully team wiped. We'll have a Graviton Surge the second that this payload will be unlocked. You have to wonder if they're going to come in for a recontest. They won't even have the time, but if they hold so close to this archway, it can set up a very devastating defense. K-Heart needs to be careful and needs to keep on finding these kills on Reaper to not only sustain his own life with Reaper's passive, but to also gain another Death Blossom in time, so that way the tanks of LYB don't end up setting up a strong defense.
Oh, they tried for the combo then, the Brigitte Reinhardt wombo combo where you try and just put that Earthshatter through the barrier, but it didn't quite connect. Meanwhile, though, K-Heart goes for it, but oh, the Graviton wombo, the huge combo, insane, just scoops up absolutely everybody there on that Hanzo. Triple kill for him, he's feeling pretty good about himself. It looks like LYB will secure at least just past the choke point here.
That's a hungry pair of dragons right there if I've ever seen them. But you know, this has always been my little concern, especially this is kind of tip your hat here to a South American Overwatch kind of type deal. When you have Lucio versus a Zenyatta, no Transcendence can't always overheal the damage from the dragons and the cleave damage from the Reinhardt, but it gives you that little lick of hope almost that you can make it out alive. And if the damage isn't there for the attacking team from the grab, you can end up pushing towards another team fight. Brad, oh man, speaking of that, big nano boost on to Zarya here, OM.
Yeah, big nano boost going out, but he was on such low charge that he just couldn't make the difference. He was just sort of going at them with a wet noodle there. He was basically stuck at about 20% charge, couldn't get any damage done. It might have been intended for the Reinhardt there. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that's probably what ended up happening there. You sort of almost like a Boostio situation there where the Zarya just wanders in front of it, steals the nano boost away. And this is not what you want to be in a position for. We don't want to have that Reaper sort of holding close here at the final point. There goes the Graviton Surge going in. There goes the Soundbite to try and keep people alive. They got the healing actually at throughput coming through. They managed to land a heal grenade. Nobody is dying just at the moment, but now a nano boost goes on to Jiaku Ren. He's just starting to tear people up with that Reinhardt hammer, putting the DPS out there at the moment. Water's trying his best, just trying to survive here on the point, but he can only last so long here against this close-range, brawly team coming out of Team CC at the moment. They are pressuring forward. There goes a Graviton Surge out of desperation more than anything, but 99% on the Hanzo. They can't put a dragon out there. They cannot contest this one, but it doesn't matter. Hanbin now has a nano boost, and now, well, he has charge. Now, this is the Death Star laser. Be careful, ladies and gentlemen. London's going to be turned into a crater. There goes the dragons coming through as well. That's going to clear them a little bit of space. Maybe they can get something done here. We'll see as it's fighting on a knife edge now as the timer ticks down.
Timer ticking down, and that is so much healing still pumping out from both these Annas. If you take a look at Kyle, is going to be having a 74% to another nano boost. They just need to stay onto the point itself. The Hanbin, speaking of the Death Laser Star, oh my goodness, there's so much damage coming out. It's almost disgusting. Water making finally back to the point is going to enable Hanbin that much further, and now nobody from Team CC able to get back onto the point. OAM is such a long walk coming from point B spawn all the way to point B captured. And my goodness, that is a very juicy win condition here for LYB, really sticking it to the Shanghai Dragons Academy team of Team CC.
Yeah, they have put the payload in a beautiful little parking space there, right at the end of second, right in front of the foundry where the Omnics, of course, dwell below. It's actually quite a grim little storyline that they have for Kings Row. It's an EMP bomb that's going to be trying to detonate it over a sort of Omnic slum in the heart of London. It's a rather dark timeline. It makes you feel a little bit bad when you're on the offensive here, but they've managed to stop it up. Actually, the heroes on defense securing it before it even gets near that final point. Now, well, this is a really bipolar game, and I want to like hammer that bipolar nature down, where it just feels like Team CC, sometimes they're in complete control, sometimes they're falling apart. LYB, they seem to just be waiting for those opportunities to swing back in and put their stamp on this game.
Well, let's not forget about this group altogether here, is that LIB is actually at the bottom of the bracket, where Team CC's almost, and they are at the top. So if this ends up going heavily in the favor, as it seems so convincingly that it is, Team CC is going to be put down in a deficit, and this entire bracket is actually going to be just busted wide open. So it's going to be devastating, especially for LYB to stand strong and clear against Team CC on this defense. And K-Heart on this Covenant hero of Widowmaker. We didn't see much of it coming out on the attack. Hardline stuck on that Reaper as well. But Yakumo coming out on Junkrat, a very strong pick here for defense. We know that a lot of teams these days like to come out with that GOATS comp with a heavy amount of shield and beef. Can always be exploded and minced by a couple well-placed grenades as we go into a brief pause. But Jakirian on the Orisa with a diva as well, OAM. That's always a composition I'd like to see. Haven't really seen much of it come out from TCC, but this is one of the things that we've always known about the influence of the Overwatch League teams of the Shanghai Dragons as well. It's going to be heavily influenced into the meta, and this is a very strong composition, but can they play it effectively? I'm excited to see.
Yeah, it's one of those things with like Team CC having such close links to the Overwatch League teams that you see sort of different kinds of teams in Contenders China, right? You have your Moss 7 clubs that could just be doing whatever they want. They're not going to stick to the meta. They're going to play by their own rules. Then you have some of like either the more Korean influenced teams or the more Overwatch League influenced teams like Team CC, for example, where you're going to see normally more meta comps come out. That Reaper pick was an interesting one for certain. I'll use the term interesting. This seems like a lot more standard, sort of this Junkrat Orisa high ground defense where you can use the Junkrat to sort of bounce out any incoming Winstons. You can try and bounce people around, build up a Riptire nice and quickly. Give yourself a nice little win condition if they are running like a tanky comp. You get that Riptire out nice and fast. You blow up a couple of tanks and bish bash bosh. Next thing you know, you've won the fight basically.
Yeah, there's only so many places you can go before a Junkrat mine explodes or you walk into an unwanted Junkrat grenade. But the Diva pick especially is just so crucial as well, especially in the tank lineup. I'm sure most of you were thinking, why not a Roadhog, of course, for that ball and chain bacon grease combo as we know and love today as, say, on a map such as Junkertown, right? But the Diva itself, because there is that high ground to play around with the movie theater area, and if you get a long flank going around and the enemy Widowmaker ends up hanging out up top, Diva is the one and only, if K-Heart doesn't get the kill, to pressure the enemy Widow away of LYB, or whichever it may be, can clear the high ground as Diva and get back down to peel for your team. Pause is gone, and we are back in full dive here for LYB, and Water is met by a nice, hefty trap.
Yeah, he's managed to disarm it. Unfortunately, he did it with his foot and then proceeded to scatter himself all over the Aldersworth Hotel's lobby. A little bit unfortunate as a start there for LYB. They're still going to try and push this one. Actually, a reset in a lot of trouble here. Just gets surrounded by the Tracer and even like a cheeky little spray just to finish that one off as well. A little bit probably of a well played or a thanks. Or maybe even a sorry, who knows. I can't read Chinese, unfortunately. But Legend Young Beyond, despite that disastrous little start there, have actually managed to roll forward and pretty much put a stamp on this point.
The moment that they ended up displacing Jakirin on, that Orisa was a strong footing for the attack to walk in, and that's why Dive is just so strong. You find the weak moments of the defending team, and you just make them that much more uncomfortable. But Kyle with the kill onto Mag, might as well give him the opening for the retest.
Oh, there's a big bomb just being dropped on the enemy team. LYB just putting an end to this one. Hanbin's had enough. Manages to deploy the Diva mech in just the right place. Warden's going to put his stamp on this one as well just to finish this off. Brings out a Dragon Blade just to sort of throw a little bit more ultimate spice into this one. And they will close out first point here. Now they have 5 minutes just to basically take second. And they've set themselves up quite nicely for it. With this dive bomb, they're going to start pressuring forward.
Going to be Enderang pushing as far as they possibly can. This dive attack is just trying to find any staggers. It's only a lone Zarya that gets the unfortunate forward spawn, but it's ending up Water, who's going to end up dying. You can't deflect the laser beam, son.
Yeah, it's just going to cut you down. No problem, Marino. And now then, Kyo just going to try and hold on as best as possible. He has that Transcendence available to him to try and stop up some of this reckless aggression coming out of Legend Young Beyond. But we're talking about this a little bit in the interim between the two matches. Legend Young Beyond are comfortable playing on these dive comps. They like playing on this style, and they're definitely demonstrating that at the moment. Kyo, the target of choice at the moment, but does survive. Actually gets a little bit of vengeance onto Mac, takes him down, and will delete him there. Insane. Going to try his best, though. He's been so pivotal for this team's victory so far. Even gets a Transcendence actually out from his own side. Well played, just brings that forward. Gonna keep this aggression rolling, even though Water's down. Insane just says, go, go, go. We want to just keep this pressure on, and it's working out for them. Water's actually managed to come back. Jikirin drops down. Mag's gonna pressure all the way into the backline. Water's just flying through the enemy team. He's just cutting them down, cutting a Grand Canyon through their entire lineup, and there we go. They've probably just done it here.
Sword, 2 Primal Raging Fists. Yeah, that'll go ahead and do it right there for us, right? LYB, in a convincing fashion, will unlock the payload, will push it all the way through, punish at least one stagger, and where you thought the defense would have the opening pick and able to make it back into this fight, they don't.
Insane play coming out from Insane there. He just seems to not mind. Like, the Genji dies, he doesn't care. He's going to go and continue pressuring out, continue finding damage, and continue taking people down. What a start here, ladies and gentlemen. Team CC rather, with an amazing opening map, but just seem to be on the back foot now. LYB bringing it back, have the mental fortitude to hold on, the discipline to continue playing this game with such strength and resolution. But we are going to find out more about these plays. Let's find out exactly what went wrong with KT on the desk. Please enlighten us, KT.
We'll do our best, one amongst many. Thank you so much, Josh. All right, so we had some fun talking about this series. There's a lot of really great points, a lot of really interesting tactics going on, a lot of questionable ones
tactics,
as well. To be tactics.
Some might say special tactics.
Yeah. So
yes,
let's start with this. So Team CC comes out with one of the most dominant control rounds I remember seeing, for sure in China Contenders, but like maybe ever. No,
yeah, I don't know about ever, but yeah,
I don't have my index of.
Let me flip through my Rolodex.
Yeah, exactly. Josh, I think, has one over there. One amongst many probably has a Rolodex or something of just like every single round in competitive Overwatch played.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't have that at least on me. But let's talk about Team CC. They just started off up high and then they really just fell short here. Joe, what was the big where did they fall short? Or I guess even maybe the question is, where did LYB end up rising up after that first round?
I think it's been a clear narrative point that I've tried to drive, especially leading into last week or from last week, is that LYB just doesn't look comfortable on Ryan Zari, and it showed on University. They just got outclassed. Everything about it was just messy. You've got the sneaky Ryan shatter. That's textbook. You have to check for that. If the enemy Ryan isn't just standing in front of you, you have to ask yourself the question, all right, where's Ryan coming from? Where are they trying to set up like a sneaky, maybe Brigida shatter play? Are they just running like a sneaky shatter? Like what's going on here? Because it's not something standard. And then we got on to the other two maps on Oasis, and they were able to kind of bring out those dive tanks, and it looked so much better. I think CC rallied back on City Center a little bit, but it was just a little too late. I think it has been water, surprise, surprise, water's really good. And it's been just trying to shut down water, and not to jump ahead to Kings Row, but in terms of just offensive.
Please.
Okay, so we're jumping ahead to Kings Row. It's been a little rough. It's been rough to say the least, especially from CC. I don't know exactly why they were running the Reaper. It doesn't make much sense. For me, it was kind of like maybe they're trying to pressure the Rhine out. They're trying to pick the Rhine, add a lot of pressure onto this newer main tank player coming out of LYB and Mag. We haven't seen him a ton. So maybe they're trying to leverage a little bit of pressure on him, but it felt like Water was just left to do whatever he wanted. And for me, it's Yakumo for Team CC. Last week he had a rough week. I was looking towards him to kind of step up and be the offensive threat that CC needs to kind of pull this team together, at least get some Carpe level plays or Yarg plays. And he's just kind of been absent, especially on defense on Kings Row, where you're pocketing him kind of. You're running the kind of solo Hanzo Brigida strategy that's meant for your Hanzo to have enough space to pop off, and he just hasn't been able to find it.
Just subconsciously put Yarg and Carpe in the same tier.
they feel,
right.
So it's not the same tier. It's the same tier respective to their like competition, right?
That's right. Same role.
So
same.
Carpe is to Overwatch League. What Yarg is to
it's to Chinese Contenders.
China.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll say that.
Fair enough. All right. Mushu. Let's talk about this LYB squad a little bit. I really want to know from you who are the big difference makers on this squad right now that are giving LYB such decisive victories post round one, of course.
Yeah, so I think of course, now that we say it like that, we're going to jinx them. We're going to get the reverse sweep for Team CC, going back up to their, for their former glory. But I like one of Almost points bringing up just about we haven't really seen Mag who's been on main tank much. Was playing on the Reinhardt, also with Hanbin. So you could kind of expect that the tank line would be where LYB is falling short. But like you said, we saw the dive coming in. But in addition to that, the tank line, if I'm looking kind of the opposite side for Team CC, they were really not having a good time. It just, like you saw, I remember very specifically on the Streets phase for Kings Row on their attack, or I forget if it was on their attack or defense. There was a shatter that was blocked by LYB, but they went in on it anyways for Team CC. So it's just like it seemed like the call was like just to go, and then they just committed to the follow-up, and then they all died because of it. So it's almost like they're trying to exploit the tank line on the opposite side of their Team CC is trying to exploit the tank line of LYB, but they don't have like that backup plan for if that tank line is actually going to do okay. So it's kind of like they're throwing themselves at LYB and they're not able to handle it. So I'm really enjoying the play so far from Hunbin and Mag, that tank duo, the off tank as well as the main for LYB, even when they're not in their dive config.
Fair enough. Coach Joe, as we call you, Coach Volamel, I need to, we need to go back to the locker room here for a second. So you're Team CC, right?
Okay.
You're 2-1 in Contenders right now. You're fighting for that number 1 spot in Group B against LGD Gaming. You're, just a couple maps away. You're playing Legend Young Beyond before, it was 1-2 going into this. 4 map wins, 8 map losses. You're down 0-2 at halftime. What are you telling your team right now? What are we changing up? Who are we putting in?
All right, kids, come on, get in here.
Yeah,
get in here, get in the huddle. Come on, kids.
Let's go. Yeah.
All right, you represent the entirety of Shanghai Dragons Academy team. Jakirin, Late Young, you come from Miraculous Youngster, one of the best Chinese teams to ever play the game. You need to harness that historical energy and bring that to the next game. Erase map 1 and map 2. You have to bring it back in map 3. In Assault, you need to play as a team.
Where do I put my hand for the
break right now? Just end the broadcast. Do we have to write an apology email to Blizzard?
Yeah, that's probably apology worthy. I probably, dear Blizzard, to whom it may concern, I'm sorry for the atrocious accent I just performed. Your ears may be bleeding, but I digress.
I mean, apparently Coach Volamel is like a smoked out coach from the 70s.
Exactly. I'm thinking 60-year-old Bronx Italian old man, kind of frumpy, coaches football.
That's what they need. This is what CC needs. Cake tripod. This is what's going to lead them to success. And I believe in the reverse sweep. I will go on record. I think Team CC.
I think they have it in them. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
And we'll go to Coach Volamel.
So we do have Zijin coming in for Late Young here.
I like that a lot.
Yeah,
I like that a lot.
Why? Tell me why, Joe.
So most of the time we see Late Young on maps that are more Zarya favored, and for the most part he has looked a lot weaker comparatively to his substitute in Zijin on Diva. So I really like the fact that I'm probably guessing we're going to go to Volskaya. I'm assuming most of it's kind of like just a favorite map. But that kind of leads me to believe it's probably Volskaya, just because this is probably just going to be a default Diva map. I don't think you're going to see much Zarya. And if you do, well, China, it's a wild card. Things happen.
So
We'll
I have a question that's been kind of poking me in the back of the neck.
Does it have to do with a 60-year-old Italian man?
No, put that guy away.
Yes, thank you.
You're like the Jeff Dunham of Overwatch analysts with your voices, I tell you. But Late Young. So
Sure.
I've talked to Jamerson many times, who I would say before Contenders was largely considered one of the Western scholars of Overwatch China in a lot of ways. And we were talking about Shanghai Dragons on Overwatch League Daily. And he had said that, Late Young was one of his players who, at that time he would have assigned to Shanghai instead of some of those other characters. But I feel like we're seeing a different Late Young right now than maybe the one that we were seeing in the past. Am I just wrong in seeing that? Or are we not seeing him playing at his full potential right now? Does the team not enable him enough?
I would say that they're kind of still learning to play consistently as a team. I wouldn't say that they're just learning how to play as a team, because if you kind of double back to last week, especially on Control, their tanks were just playing their own game. They were kind of operating on their own metrics and their kind of own page. And Late Young still has that same mechanical prowess that he did before, but it's not MY Late Young, right? It's a different, it's a kind of a different breed. He took a break. All of the players took a break. So I think he's still trying to get his bearing. This new meta is wonky. We saw it in Overwatch League. It's weird. It's just going to take some time for them to get back into it.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, you were right, Coach Joe. We're going to Volskaya Industries next. And we're going to go back to the casters here. One amongst many, Panda, go ahead, take away. One amongst many. Make sure to get that Rolodex out so you know. And who uses a Rolodex anymore, by the way?
I wish I had a Rolodex with that much information in it. Unfortunately, I just have my brain, which often just confuses team names and confuses player names all the time, which it's getting old. It's just sort of, I've tried to kill it with alcohol in the past as well, but it's somehow hanging in there. Anyway, right, we have one hell of a series on our hands, and Team CC, the big question mark on them is, can they bring this one back after taking a pummeling going 2-0 down? I think after Coach Volomel's rousing speech, I think there is no doubt in my mind that Team CC bring this one back, Panda.
Yeah, big round of applause for that one too. I mean, Coach, I felt the power. I actually wanted to put my own mental hand inside the huddle as well. I just feel the strength behind it as well. So I mean, one thing that we know coming in here for the side of Team CC is that when they brought in this swap, you're going to be bringing in a very strong Zarya player as well. Not seeing it so far though.
Yeah, Zijin picking up that D.Va pick. They're going to try and, like, there's a lot of talk about, like, the tanks trying to muscle out on each other. I really like the point of, you know, it felt like Team CC were trying to bully down Mag and Hanbin, but they were just resolute. They were just taking it, and they were managing it better, basically, sort of doing a bit of a judo sweep, I suppose, taking the strength of the enemy and just flipping them over with it. Meanwhile, we have a pretty standard rollout here on Volskaya. K-Hart just looking for some kind of angle spot set the Zenyatta, but hasn't found too much yet.
Not much at all. And especially one of the more scary aspects here at Team CC, they're coming out here to play the game that LYB wants them to play. They want them to play dive, and they want to end up creating all this space, but it's K-Hart who takes advantage of all that.
Yeah, this is the K-Hart that we have wanted to see for a little while now. He's back on that Widowmaker instead of on the Reaper pick, which was questionable. And like I like the fact that the analyst pointed out that the Reaper didn't seem to work out for them. But this Widowmaker certainly seems to have sprung to life. And Team CC just with a very clean take on first, get Widow in position, fire for a few shots, bish bash boss, jobs are good, and now you're rolling on to second.
There's no one difference between Kings Row and Volskaya Industries. There's no brick walls for you to bang your head against, and K-Hart understanding that, coming back out on this Widowmaker and making headway and rolling heads at that, finding them time and time again, and the dive coming through from Shakiran and his D.Va counterpart setting up on point B already. OAM we are.
Yeah, they're going straight for it. D.Va Bomb does get launched up before she lands on the top, and actually gets stunned out of the remake. Water comes in from behind, just smacks him down, and that will stop a lot of the stalling power coming in for this team. Legend Young Beyond springing it back and collecting up the kills with this very defensive lineup. They have a long time ahead of them, though. 6 minutes 20 in the clock. Team CC have a lot of options available.
A lot of options indeed. Walking back in and off of the recontest, they only cycled through a self-destruct. So they're going to have Yakumo with this rally momentarily. They're just going to have to get through LYB. Something that I definitely want to point in fact of Team CC is that they are going into this game. They need to be careful and to not lose one of their supports coming into this re-entry, as we have both support ultimates available for TCC. If they make it to the point with this armor as 6, they should be able to make a strong showcasing on there, especially if they get through all of this rally of LYB.
And a very, very nice early kill there coming out of GQ Ren, just putting the pressure onto Insane, realizing that he's been having an insane series so far, living up to his namesake and destroying people, so pressuring out that Widowmaker is going to be absolutely huge here. Meanwhile, though, K-Hart has actually dropped down as well. Mag retaliating in kind on the opposite side. We have a brawl here on the point. Mag still doing a lot of damage there with his Tesla Cannons. Found the Mercy, peels away that Brigitte armor, trying to open it up. You can see Hambi just hunting him down, gets the kill. Mercy's dropping simultaneously on both sides pretty much, and now, well, it's just a slow brawl on the point, but this is Volskaya, this is 2CP. You cannot have a slow fight on the point, and as such, the defenders just steadily grind you down and overwhelm you.
Assault is a heck of a game mode at that, and especially if you don't have, to my previous point, all 6 members, and especially a core member of your main healer of Mercy on the point. With that Valkyrie, you're almost never going to gain headway, especially cycling through almost every single ultimate in the book. K-Hart onto this Tracer now to track Insane, who, to your point, has been playing out of his mind. They need to get through this Transcendence, however, of well play, if they ever want to see the light of 1 tick at least.
So they start running their way forward. Mag again with an early kill. This guy has just been showing up non-stop for this team. Legend Young Beyond, their tank line is playing phenomenally here. And in Contenders China, we generally see like the tank lines are relatively quiet, but it definitely feels like Legend Young Beyond, a Korean team, basically, the team of Koreans, I do believe. They've just sort of shown up here and gone big here. Mag is just destroying people on that front line and getting away with it effectively.
That's right. Full Korean roster coming out here, and this was my previous point as well. They're playing against, and they're playing LYB's game right now of Full Dive, and to where we saw Team CC make headway on Oasis was when they were ending up playing their heavy tank game. It can work out here if you play it methodically, but the one methodic game coming out here of LYB is use one ult here, one ult there, and we have a defense heading strong behind the rally of water. Big pulse bomb coming in from Insane!
Yeah, he just continues to find these targets. It's already a bit of a disaster. And Sentry getting stalled out as well. He's going to have to wait for his trip back to spawn. We're going to see Insane come out with more aggression. Stalls out the Diva. Again, just burning down the clock. Team CC losing the first... LYB losing the first point so quickly. But now Team CC have basically burned out most of their time. 3 minutes 30 left. They're running out of options here. Like you said, they're playing out Legend Young Beyond's game. Like, I'd like to see the Pharah. I'd like to see the Zarya come out. Just something different here instead of trying the same thing over and over again.
Just not the Reaper. But at the end of the day, for LYB, again, cycling one ultimate, one pulse bomb, finds two, and they are setting strong behind the defense again. We're about to have double support ultimate again for the defending team, a Primal Rage, and a self-destruct that is so much space ready to be claimed before a team fight is even ready to happen.
And again, Water with an early kill on KYO. You're seeing K-Hard as well. You saw him go on a very long flank there. He's just taking so long to find these positions. One of the weaknesses of Tracer on this map is it takes you a little while to get set up, and the Brigitta's nullifying. Water is playing this Brigitta so well. There is always armor being thrown onto the people that Tracer's trying to target, and it makes it so difficult for the Tracer to get any value. Water's Brigitta has been spectacularly good so far, and as a result, Team CC are just getting pulled apart. They can't find any kills at all, basically, and they're just getting no results, no value out of any of these plays.
We knew that one of the elongated win conditions out here for Team CC is they needed to get through water. I don't know if K-Heart on the Tracer was the smart pick, but what I do like to see is this triple tank combination coming out. This is what we were talking about here, Josh, is that we want to see flexibility. We want to see K-Heart push to the limit, pull out this Brigitta, pull out Yakumo on this Zarya, get a Graviton Surge going behind Kyle, who has been fantastic on the Ana thus far. Big heals to come across. Can only segue into a lot of more space created. K-Heart finding the opening pick on this one.
Yeah, managing to get something done, but I love the change up from Water straight away, realizing that they've gone tanks. Okay, we're going to bring out the Pharah. Just put a time limit on any push. Starts raining rockets in from above. Already on 50% ultimate charge just from that fight alone. He's been doing some huge plays here, and now the Tracer's respawns. He's back in action, even pressuring out. They want to get rid of this Zarya. She's on high charge. If they kill her, it's huge. They get Kaio. Can they get rid of Yakumo is the big question. If they can get him down, well, Zarya's always a hefty loss when she's carrying charge.
Heavy charge at that. They keep chasing, but that only gives more ult charge to the Graviton Surge. Look at this, 95% now, and they finally gonna end up getting the pick on her as well. One of the more scarier aspects there is that is a very long stagger, 1 minute and 10 seconds, ticking all the way down, and LYB with a very strong defense thus far. You were very right to point out, Water going back to the spawn room immediately off Brigitta and immediately picking up this pharmacy combo. It's disgusting on defense. Immediately not having anything to shoot him out of the sky, and the Fair Barrage to come through right out of the spawn. As soon as you just find one, you're not even going to make it to the point. On point B is 6, and that's exactly what you need to do as Team CC. Regroup one more time. You have one more attempt at a team fight here.
Yeah, the barrage went in, but it doesn't matter. Legend Young Beyond, they look on fire. They're playing better than I think we've seen these guys play before. Water's certainly been a threat, but Insane is just being so consistent as well. The barrage comes in behind, but Insane just whips in, cleans up the kills, and so they catch the barrage, but they can't control the Tracer at the same time. Insane just getting so many results. Looks like Water's swapping up to the Genji now as Yakumo brings out a Pharah of his own, just starts ranging forward. There's one more fight left into this. Soldier 76 has graced us with his presence. Mono support being run by Team CC. They're going to try and basically go all in here. Let's see if it pays off for them.
Dad of Overwatch coming out here. Jack Morrison is in play. Everybody better watch out, but we're on solo heals, and that's Water with the flexibility on the Genji to kill off the Soldier 76 immediately in the self-destruct to get rid of a Mercy, and that is almost a guaranteed right there as the kills are coming through. K-Heart trying to be a dying glim of light here for the attacking team, but it's all for naught to no avail. Team CC having no members on the point, no ticks accrued here, no point contention at all, but 1 point captured OAM, so at least there is a small glimmer of a win condition for them.
There's a very small glimmer of hope there, especially with how aggressive the dive comp from LYB seems to be. And I love the change-ups out of water. I love the fact that he's living up to his namesake with the Bruce Lee quote, right? Be like water. He's certainly doing that, adjusting to what the enemy team is doing constantly, playing all these various heroes to a very, very solid level as well, stopping this team that is near the top. I think LGD just pipped them at the top of Group B. But this result so far is going to throw all of Group B into complete and utter chaos and anarchy for next week. Playoff decisions are going to be very, very tough, and every single map is going to start mattering to these teams, because if LYB take this with as dominating performance as they seem to be developing here, then they are going to absolutely throw this group into anarchy and keep their playoff dreams alive.
Yeah, LYB dropping a pipe bomb in this group here, buddy. I mean, like, that's it's getting kind of crazy over here. I mean, my palms are sweating and knees are weak, just thinking about it and where the playoffs are headed. But I just, one thing that's got me more excited than anything here is how high of a level of Overwatch we got to see, but in the macro play style, right? We saw Water taking swaps continuously. That is what the defending team has up on the attacking team. You can hit that tab key. You can see the swaps coming through before they even make it through this courtyard area towards point B and take the swaps almost immediately. The second that K-Heart came back on Tracer, we also saw the Brigitte just continuously stun locking back and forth, which gave Insane the open ability to do whatever Insane wanted. We know he's been playing out of his freaking mind, and it's only enabling LYB to do exactly what LYB does best, and that's just dive your targets when they're out of position.
But this is where we get a little bit scared. We've highlighted this in the past, that Legend Young Beyond, they're comfortable on the dive, they're solid on the dive, but sometimes they seem to just go for tanks. They seem to try and play sort of more standard meta comps, and they've done just that here. They've got sort of a double tank lineup. They've got the Brigitte Moira coming out. It's not as divey as they normally play. So you look at the dive tank, but the Roadhog's sort of an anchor for the team. He's slow, he's immobile, playing into a sniper at the moment in K-Heart, and that's sort of the result that can happen. Tracer just gets a head blown off just to open this one up.
Yeah, rolling down into the icy lakes of Full Sky right there. Unfortunate, but oh man, look at KR just coming alive, just finding left, right, and center, just shooting everything else in between. That grappling hook is so devastating to deal with, especially as Winston, you can see just hanging out on the low ground, just taking the chase. But guys still coming through. The attacking team still trying to make a headway, because they did end up getting Yakumo, so they can sustain themselves to regroup on the point. As they do, they're actually going to get the capture momentarily.
Yeah, Roadhog not so much the anchor there as the linchpin. He just brings it in and just devastates people he was never really dealt with. And so, sure, K-Heart had a shooting gallery there, killed a bunch of squishies, but no one dealt with Hanbin, who had a phenomenal performance there. Came in, cleaned up, no problem. The Roadhog just consuming everything. And now they set themselves up beautifully for a second push, but they're going to have stuff like Coalescence coming online, Whole Hog, Pulse Bomb, all these resources.
I mean, yeah, we know that Roadhog's not exactly the biggest tank in the world as far as claiming space like a shield tank does, but darn does he have all the health, and darn can he just walk into your face and just decimate you with a hook, pull, shot combo, and he is just trying to make headway, as he will have the Whole Hog online. Pulse Bomb coming through from Insane, not finding anything.
And K-Heart is back on the Reaper, ladies and gentlemen. Now is redemption time, K-Heart. Please, you've got to perform. You've got a Winston and a Roadhog to try and blow up here. He's managing to pressure out the point. If they don't clear him away, he will just slowly, destroy everything that comes on the point. K's in point there, and you can see how fast the Roadhog drops down. He's got a Death Blossom in his back pocket already, so definitely performing better now, and especially now with that armor. It's going to be so difficult for the Winston and Roadhog to deal with this. Wouldn't be surprised to see Legend Young Beyond start swapping things up.
Contrary to popular belief, if they ended up to go a more standard style outside of the Winston, that the Roadhog could actually devastate the Reaper. Funny enough, pulling him out of his flanks and really punishing him for trying to come up huge and killing him before his passive ends up proccing in full will be that death. K-Heart, however, had the Death Blossom, will swap over to Widowmaker is a good choice, because Water coming back on Farah and Insane on the tree, you're almost going to want that sniper rifle down sightline as he finds the Subi almost immediately out of spawn. What is two?
K-Heart just finding targets at the moment. He is looking devastating so far on this Widowmaker. Certainly a much bigger threat than he has been on that Reaper. Not to slide him so far on his performance on Volsky, certainly did his job. I think a win condition for Legend Young Beyond here is going to be controlling this Widowmaker threat from K-Heart, as he seems to be consistently landing these shots now. He's got his eye in, and he's finding targets.
Finding those targets indeed. So we're going to have Hanbin off the Roadhog. We'll be joining his coordinating targets with this dive from Mag by way of sound barrier. Lots of sound coming through for the attacking team, but no kills quite yet.
Yeah, Water's going to be looking for the barrage. Gets into the back line, and there we go. He's found the targets while Insane manages to get rid of Sentry with the Deadeye. That's all the supports removed. Now they just got to get rid of this D.Va on the point. So he's going to drop the bomb. There is a bubble, though, containing it. It's been fishbowled. No problem. They can't even get Yakumo onto the point, and Legend Young Beyond have taken the series 3-0 so far. Now it's just going to be a big question of map differential. Can TCC bring a little bit of dignity back, I suppose?
And they really want to find those keys and unlock those doors to get the answers, really, to how they're going to find at least one map victory. So that way they don't fall too low into this group. Being on this day, they need this victory.
Yeah, especially with, claiming the top of the group. And I actually took a look at what they're playing next, by the way. Team CC do not have an easy week 5. They have LGD to look forward to. So that's going to be one hell of a game. That's certainly not an easy one in the near future. But we have one more map to go. Can Team CC redeem themselves slightly here? Or will LYB throw the group into complete anarchy with a 4-0? Find out in a few minutes' time. We'll be glad to have you.
还记得吗？当你首次踏足艾泽拉斯，当你孤身面对恐惧之王，当你第一次孵化跳虫速攻，有时。
Talk about a long night trip, no, no, no. Don't ever wait, you kept traces of my past. Your frames are divided in my thoughts. Your love, dance so I can feel your lips, oh no, no. Don't ever look away, you fill the spaces in my heart. Your friends are nowhere to be found. We're tripping all around and girl, we don't know nobody. There's people all around, but girl, it's a private party. We don't know nobody. There's people been catching feels, I've been catching flights. Maybe we can chill when I get the time. Told you I'ma call, I didn't mean to lie. The writing on the wall, if we read between the lines, I'm in the fast lane. In my rearview mirror, I see your whole life. I've been in the fast lane. Now I'm blinded by the glow of the light. Baby, now I'm saying it's so long. It's so long. Got you night by sunlight, I'm gone. I'm gone. I'm gone. The writing on the wall like, so long, so long. The writing on the wall like, so long, so long. I'm saying so long.
The voicemail box belonging to 31427669404 is currently full.
Gave me a second chance. Baby, hear me out. I'll call you up from friends when I'm touching down. Tell you what I saw when I get the time. The writing on the wall, if we read between the lines, I'm in the fast lane. In my rearview mirror, I see your whole life. I've been in the fast lane. Now I'm blinded by the glow of the light. Baby, now I'm saying it's so long. It's so long. Got you night by sunlight, I'm gone. I'm gone. I'm gone. The writing on the wall like, so long, so long. The writing on the wall like, so long, so long. I'm saying so long, so long, so long, so long, so long. Now baby, I'm gone, I'm gone, I'm gone, I'm saying so long.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Contenders China. Welcome to perhaps, no, it is definitely the final map. There's no perhaps about it. I don't think there's a comeback here on the cards. Team CC versus LYB. Final map is going to be Route 66 between these two teams, and it just depends. Like, it's very, very hard to call who's going to win this one because Team CC have looked so hot and then cold and bipolar. It's crazy.
If both teams make it to point C, I think that Team CC would be able to hold LYB because it's much more Ryan eccentric. And that seems to be where they had that strong showcasing. And we go back to that juicy stake that LYB wants to finish in full, but Team CC needs a piece of. They want to have at least one map win coming off of this Route 66 map and at least hold strong and not get 4 overwatched and drop so low inside their group bracket.
I mean, that's the big thing on the line here for Team CC is that they could lose their high ranking, their high seed so far in Group B. And with next week, they're staring down the barrel of like LGD or a team that, you know, they are no slouches. They are going to fight you and they are going to make you work for your win. So if you're going to struggle against LYB, well, Team C, you're probably not going to feel too confident going into the next game. But as the gates do open up, looks like we're seeing some snipers coming out on offense.
Snipers playing around all across Route 66 here. We got to see your home from Kings Row, and now we're over to mine here. We're full of snipers, and I'm happy to see it coming out as well. K-Hart, Yakumo, they work so well together. As long as they find the elongated sightlines, it's all going to be very difficult for well play on Anna, sitting on top of Big Earls, to find a suiting to get a lot of big kills off onto Mag and Hanbin. Now, we talked about this as well. Ryan and Zarya coming out here from LYB. It's not their strongest picks, but they're holding the defense strong thus far.
Yeah, they're even using that Anna really aggressively, just trying to get those sort of biotic grenades set up so they can dive in and maybe collect a couple of kills, but doesn't end up paying out. K-Hart springs back with that Widowmaker pick. He's looked so much better on this hero than the other options available to him. No, excuse me, and it looks like he's going to continue that momentum. It's really going to be this Widowmaker from Team CC that is going to try and carry them going forward. We'll see how well it goes for them, though, as they do continue to push around the corner here at Big Earls.
Yeah, we talked about Water for LYB needing to go huge, and has thus far, especially Insane has done that as well, but K-Hart needs to continue to land a lot of these Covenant shots and it make headway as well. Water with a nice whip shot onto Sniper. Not something you see every day, but it does in fact happen.
Yeah, LYB basically playing this tanky comp just like Dive, and I kind of love it. They're just using that Lucio speed boost, using that extra momentum, sticking together and running down the enemy team. It's a team comp that I would call like a rush down idea. You basically try and run it. The first thing you hit, you don't even need to hit the squishies, you just run into them and pile drive the tank, the squishies, no matter what you hit, you just hit it hard.
Yeah, Ana and Lucio have always worked really well together. All things considering, when the Nano Boost actually took its first initial hit, it lost its speed, but it didn't lose any of its power. So when you put that Nano Boost onto Mag after the Earth Shatter comes through, the cleave damage is that much stronger, especially behind the amp of speed from Musubi, who again preferred hero Lucio in Chinese Contenders. Very unheard of, but it is very good. Big double concussion blast coming out there from Yakumo, and that's going to be a strong headway here for the attacking team. Surely they're going to get the payload captured at this point.
It's a trap, basically. Like, they ran after Kyo. He got isolated on the corner on the cliff, but that just set far up for a beautiful knockdown hit. Takes out two, no problem. Yakumo scoops up himself a barrage as well, because all that damage, all the sort of the health that those people had goes into Yakumo's back pocket with an ultimate. He's now going to hold this choke point as best he can, drops the barrage right down on top of everybody. Even the combo comes out here, Insane getting himself one hit, but that Graviton Dragon Surge combo, not going to be enough here to put an end to it. D-Bomb just going to wrap this one up, and Yakumo comes up huge for his team there with a big brain play, just using Zenyatta as bait, effectively.
I mean, that's quite literally what he was there, unfortunately, but LYB, they literally threw everything almost at them. Coming in there for that recontest, the Graviton Surge, swapping over to D.Va so that way they can contest more of the high ground, but we still have Mag here on the Reinhardt, who needs to cycle this Earth Shatter immediately and get onto Winston, because there's too much high ground here on point B OAM, and they need to be careful because Yakumo just pressuring forward. You don't want to be a stagnant or a very niche shield standing still, because that's just going to continuously happen. Rockets blindly flying in there, damage boosted, back to back.
Yeah, this is what we mean when we talk about the fact that it is very difficult to push into Afara. She is so good at holding those choke points, so good at holding doorways. It's so difficult to sort of find your way out. One misstep and she's just going to blow you away or just barrage you. Speaking of which, he's managed to build himself up another one. He's going to hold this high ground. Wouldn't be too surprised to see Legend Young Beyond perhaps cycle through, maybe go out low ground, find a different angle to come out here, because that Farah is just going to be waiting for you.
Something that's been happening as well is that we've been seeing Kaio over there on Tracer, who is their flex support, by the way. This is a very tip your hat to the London Spitfire, if you will, and they're really just trying to enable Century to have a Valkyrie literally almost every single team fight if they need it. A lot of burst healing coming through across the chain from that Valkyrie ultimate.
They were so careful coming out there. They had to wait for the Infrasight to basically run out, and even then they are being so cautious. They have to respect Yakumo so much that it's making it just difficult for them to even leave the choke point. Payload rolling forward has stopped up just for a little while, but the kill feed is nothing but Team CC at the moment. Yakumo still has that barrage available to him. Rez picks up Kyo as well, and like you mentioned, that is the Zenyatta player swapping off to the Tracer. They swapped to mono support, playing super aggro here, and I love the side of it because it is paying off so well for them. Letting Young Beyond, though, changing things up dramatically here.
It is mathematical coming out from Team CC. You can put a lot of frontal pressure, elongated shots from the rockets, sniper rifle coming out from K-Hart. very good DPS duo, yes, but when you add in that cleanup from Tracer that can take the double blink and the easy cleanup for the entry kill on, say, a Zenyatta, or the Mercy now from Masubi, and well play that just took the flex over a little bit late, Hanbin back over onto the Zarya, it's going to enable that much more. Big barrage coming through is going to find both the tanks immediately.
Yeah, the big question here is, like, the Zarya Reinhardt is a little bit slow to get rolling, especially if you don't have momentum on your side. Hanbin needs to build up charge, he needs to build up a Graviton surge, he needs to build something up, and one of the big question marks we always have about Legend Young Beyond is their ability to play the double sniper comp, the ability to play the Reinhardt Zarya. If you even see Water changing away from the Hanzo here, going for that Genji instead for a little bit more instant power, but they're playing into K-Heart's Widowmaker here. He has position, he has infra sight, he has the enemy in his sights, he's looking for the targets just now, might just go for the Widowmaker here, he's biding his time, taking his shots very carefully here, but it doesn't matter. Team CC have the pressure on the front line. Diva Bomb goes in, collects the Mercy, and it's all going wrong for LYB here in Route 66.
This is exactly what we were talking about, or the desk was talking about rather, is that LYB, when they're forced off of their core dive tanks, they really don't know what to do. You can see they're almost just staggered and confused within their own selves on where to be at the same moment in time. They're stuck in between sticking with the Diva, now back on the Zarya. Their ult charge and ult economy has been thrown into a giant loop, and all while that is Yakumo's favorite song to sing, as he's just continuously landing these rockets, bodying every single switch that LYB has to throw at him.
And GQ Ren doing such a good job on this front line, just takes so much space. He's built himself up a Primal Rage that is going to be very useful in sort of confirming these final couple of moments here on the payload. 1 minute 30 left on the clock, and they're just trying to put the finishing touches on it. Chance actually puts the Winston in the wall, but there he goes. He gets mad. He's always angry. Just collects the Ana. No problem. Going to shove around the Reinhardt. Actually manages to displace the Urshield. Does get stunned for his trouble, but Kyo comes in with the cleanup. Graviton Surge finally comes out, but just there's no follow-up. There's no deaths coming at it. That's it. Legend Young Beyond doing a really good job stalling it out here. They have managed to buy themselves a good sort of 30 seconds at the very least, and they're continuing to do so. Insane, trying to save his team, and actually with the Lucio coming back, are they doing this?
They are absolutely holding this Hero AM, and it all is thanks to Insane coming out here. They ended up killing off Kyle before he made it back out of spawn, got the Pulse Bomb, the D-Mech, and the Pilot Diva, all by his little Tracer self.
It's incredible to see them come back from the very brink here. And now that they have a Dragon Blade in their back pocket, they do have the Ana as well, but she's not quite built up just yet, although she does build up quite fast. K-Hard actually swapping off onto the Brigitte. Very interesting to see that they're sticking with the Pharah on the indoor environment, instead going with the Brigitte instead of that Widowmaker or a Hanzo, for example. So they're going to start pushing this one forward. A bit of a meeting of the Reinhardts on front. Yakumo seems to be struggling a little bit with the platform there, unfortunately. Dragon Blade comes out from water. He's trying it on the pharmacy, but Pharah just has none of it. She's just dropping the barrage right on top of him. It's a bit of a rainy day for that Genji there, as water just gets splashed against the ground effectively, and now Yakumo has free reign just to start shooting forward. It looks like Team CC want to get something on the back of this one. Sentry even getting the res on JQ Ren. They're going to start forcing this one forwards, and let's see if they can finish this one out.
It's a sketchy situation for Team CC to still have this Pharah on point C all the way until K-Hard flexing over to the Brigitte at this point in time to help out with the frontal pressure. Earthshatter gets fully blocked. Good shielding by Jakirin.
Insane comes in on the sideline though. This is where the dive is connecting. Genji Tracer comes out, collects kills on the support so quickly. This is Legend Young Beyond playing to their strengths. This is what we want to see out of these guys, as they're trying to hold on in this last breath on 2 second one. They won the 4-0. It puts them in such a good position in the group, and they've set themselves up quite nicely to do it, stopping the complete here on the end of third.
And if we know one thing is for certain, Hero AM, is that we know that when they have the win conditions set, they know how to heavily floor the gas button and continuously dive your targets, whether it be on from their DPS, a core dive target. I want to see, believe it or not, that Roadhog Winston combo come out just to enable water on this Genji that much further is just what you really want to do. Now, the Ryan Zarya, it was really nice to see the flexibility coming out from LYB. Didn't really work out all too well, now did it? I mean, at the end of the day, it was Team CC's game, and it was Yakumo's play time and time again, sticking on Pharah all the way until the very end, that almost won them all 3 points very convincingly. I believe he was almost on a 25-player kill streak. In fact, he was, before he finally kicked the bucket.
It's going to be a very, very difficult one, and the question is, of course, Do letting Young Beyond go back to dive. Looks like they're teasing it at the moment with that Widowmaker. They're having a reserve. It's not too uncommon, but I would prefer to see the Winston coming out here. Like you said very correctly, I think, Panda. The question here is, like, can they suppress K-Heart enough? Can they enable Insane and Water? The meta at the moment for tanks is very much sort of a sacrificial meta. The tanks try and push out the enemy DPS, try and push out the enemy tanks, create that space for the DPS. And when you have Insane and Water playing this well, if you blow the doors open for them, they will carry you to this victory.
Burst down the dam, let the water flow, damn it. And then that's one thing that LYB is going to want to do here on Route 66, especially double sniper composition coming out here in full for LYB. Very interesting, however. Mag on the Orisa for attack OAM. This is not something that I'm typically used to seeing. Much more of a defensive composition, which is furthermoring my argument that they're not really too sure what to do outside of Winston and D.Va. But darn, we're going to see it with well play on the Roadhog, solo heal on the Mercy, very meta style. But Orisa's still pretty strange to me.
I kind of like this. I've seen this sort of happen before. You can use that hog ball and chain combo, right? You use the Halt, you pull people up, and then you use the hook and pull them out. And you can use it to display stuff like the Reinhardt and the D.Va on that high ground. One foot set wrong, and Legend Young Beyond have such a strong position. You can see that they instantly sort of drop down to that low ground. They're actually going to play this very aggressively, going straight into the team here. But this is a team made up of tanks. You see Brigitte just surrounded there, but it has bought K-Heart enough time to find the shot. He's deleted Insane at the very least, and that set him up beautifully to line up a few more shots elsewhere. Cracker of a shot onto the D.Va just to collect her as she pops out of mech, and Team CC looking good at the moment.
Not exactly the easiest headshot to find, but it's K-Heart, the Widow Specialist, that will, return to sender. Insane this time, coming out and finding it. Water with a quick Dragon Strike just to give us some beautiful particle effects across the payload. Won't find anything but a bunch more space. The Orisa coming out into your point OAM, really good at displacing Shakirian on this Reinhardt. Comes a rally from Yakumo, gets immediately stuffed out.
Water just deleting Sentry again. Sentry's been having a really bad series so far. Has been dying early, but it looks like Team CC have enough support. So they have enough power with that rally coming out of Yakumo just to stay in this fight and actually stay alive during it. K-Heart, of course, has been essential during all of this. Relatively untouched, relatively uncontested. He's been so strong throughout all of this. And if he continues to this performance, well, he could just keep Team CC in this game.
He could, in fact. And with that as well, is that we're seeing both teams really stack across all of their ultimate banks at this juncture. Yakumo unfortunately didn't gain the full benefits of the rally. Some of his team did gain a little satisfaction from the over armor sustainability, but it's all gone at this point as well. K-Heart with the infrared sight now, probably gonna end up proccing it at the next team fight, because the self-destruct that comes through is just good enough that you kill off Water, you find another kill afterwards, you can't resurrect all of that.
Yeah, it's one of the sort of most common set plays we see in Overwatch. When the Orisa uses the Bongo, the D.Va throws the bomb at it essentially and just clears it out. Bongo, of course, is the supercharger. It's a very clear tell that the enemy team wants to push. The D.Va ultimate just gives you space, forces everyone into uncomfortable positions. Very well read there. And Legend Young Beyond changing things up. Mag brings back the Winston. Dive tank's coming out once more.
Well, that's one of the things I was really confused about the Orisa on defense, is that when you do put that down, oh, I'm sorry, excuse me, the Earth Shatter's gonna come through. Dragon Strike's gonna have to be pulled out from Water just to save as much life as possible, just killing off Shakirian immediately.
I feel a little bit bad for Wellplay. He's sort of fallen prey to the Zenyatta bait syndrome, but luckily the Mercy is there just to pick him right back up. So he's rejoined the fight as Water manages to collect a little bit of a greedy play out of GQ Ren, scoops up that Reinhardt, deletes him once and for all, and now the payload is starting to roll. But 1 minute left on the clock. Team CC have built up a large time advantage so far, and it's going to be tough now to push this as far as they need to. Legend Young Beyond need to keep this thing rolling.
Yeah, and again, to the previous point, Ryan and Winston, a little bit more of a standard style to push on to Route 66. You can see Mag already trying to get a little bit closer behind the billboard on the opposite end, just trying to pressure any sidelines so that way K-Heart can't make it back to save his Squishy's life in clairvoyance by killing the Widowmaker early.
And Kyo actually swapping off. This again is the Zenyatta player. He's on this Roadhog and he's rampaging. This seems to be a increasingly common thing. We're seeing Zenyatta's flexing away from the Zen, generally considered such an important hero, but now he's on this Roadhog, creating huge differences in this fight. Yakumo doing his best to try and control Mag, who's just trying to suppress and push out the rest of the point, but there's only 15 seconds left on the clock. Like, Team CC could do this. Team CC could come back to this one. Jin gets a beautiful kill onto Hanbin. The D.Va not going to be part of this anymore. Gives us a little wave. He's been waving non-stop throughout this. There's 5 seconds left on the clock. Can anybody anybody make it there is the big question. Looks like they're going to Genji coming in. Water might just be able to touch this one, has just done so. Valkyrie comes up just to keep the team alive. Transcendence even coming in just to keep the contest going. But Kyo with a kill onto Water is going to just stall this one out even further. They need to keep pressure on this Zenyatta alone. The Transcendence runs out. He's going to be vulnerable. Whole Hog comes out to start scooping this one up. The Winston gets booped away by that Whole Hog. They've got to just finish this one up, close this one out. There's the hook. Kyo just deletes the Winston. Mag is done. Beaver is done. Overtime Wick burns out. And Team CC make it to 3-1 at the end of the day.
That was fantastic team play coming out there at the end for Team CC. Coming to life. I mean, it took them 4 games to wake up, but they did it. Oh, and they actually did it. And to your point as well, that Roadhog pick instead of the off support really helps out Century, regardless of the game that it's having altogether. Really helps out as far as just claiming space, spreading in the mass amounts of damage onto the frontal end of that Orisa time and time again. Not a comfortable pick coming out for LYB, obviously, finding way onto the Winston, but it was too late. The ult economy, the bank, it was too strong.
What a series between these two teams. Going into it, you could say that Team CC were the clear favorites. They were top in the group at the start of this week, but LYB demonstrating a lot of skill here across the board. I think all of their players played very well, while Team CC showed some crucial weaknesses. The group has been thrown into some disarray. It's not quite as bad, though. They managed to triage it somewhat, getting that 3-1 at the end of the day. Let's see if they can keep that momentum going in the future, though. Team CC have LGD up ahead of them in the near future. If Team CC can beat that one, well, they'll be topping out the group. But there's still a lot to play for here in Contenders China, especially in Group B. But to break down this game behind us, we have the ever beautiful Katie and the desk. We have, of course, Volamel and Mushu as well joining us to fill us in on all the lovely details of this game. Guys, please take it away.
Me? Beautiful? Really? Oh,
gorgeous.
Sometimes.
Oh, love it. Thank you. Well, yeah, man, we've got a lot of Overwatch to break down, and I want to say, first of all, you guys are really lucky that I didn't make you do predictions. In the
yes, you are. Thank you. Because I would
cut it short because, yeah, I mean,
I would have probably gotten it very wrong.
Yeah, I think you've been going a little hoarse in the other channel here, just yelling at your monitor. I know you haven't been the most happy with some of the performances on Team CC. Yakumo comes to mind here as someone who I believe you said made your list.
Yeah, he's on my list. He's on my very, very important players to watch list. Yes, exactly. His positioning is just not what I would like it to be. There's a very kind of distinct point on Volskaya where he's pushing out as Zarya, but there's no one with him, and he gets capitalized on by the enemy Pharah, gets pooped away, and gets staggered. Like, it just keeps happening for him, and I don't know if it's aggravation. I don't like to bring up tilt because I like to give players the benefit of the doubt sometimes. But for me, a lot of what last week was for Yakumo and this week, it feels very strange. Like his positioning, even on Brigitte. Musha, you pointed out a great point on Route 66 where they're like, Brigitte's playing super offsides. He doesn't get punished for it, but yeah, it's very out there.
Yeah, I do want to, again, that was a flank on their defense after they had the Bionade and they had the flank. And so it ended up working out for that specific fight itself, but it just felt like there wasn't really a plan going into, or just like it wasn't very thought out, right? Like, where do you go from there when you're Brigitte flank, right? The best case is that you get a pick, maybe 2, but then the worst case is that you immediately lose your Brigitte. So again, I think it's just about like the forethought of what happens afterwards, and I'm not seeing as much from Team CC for this game.
Well, it felt like to me, and what I was getting from you guys too, is a lot of Team CC's issues were almost completely compositional at this point. I mean, you were, Joe, you're like, go to the Pharah. You're saying that at map 2, and they finally go to the Pharah on Route 66, and wow.
That was the only hero that Yakumo actually looked like solid on, and when he did, it was actually quite good. I just wonder why on like King's Row, for instance, it is a pretty strong Pharah map. You can run it on attack. We see it sometimes. It's not frequent, but it happens, and it's a composition that you can run Pharah into, but they choose to run the Reaper. And it's this consistent run back to Reaper. Let's run Reaper. Why? Yeah. Where's the Pharah? I don't understand exactly why the pocket strat of Reaper was plugged in. Again, my only kind of thought goes back to, seeing Mag. We don't see him too often. Maybe Jakirin thought he could kind of, manhandle him and just needed that little push in terms of offensive threat, just kind of picking on Mag a little bit. But you don't get that when LYB plays their comfort and plays what they're good at and plays dive tanks. It's very clear this match, when they don't play dive tanks, Route 66 in Oasis University, they look bad. Flat out, it's not good. It's very uncomfortable. It's very staggered. It's all over the place. Alt charges are just kind of used at will. When they play dive tanks, it's a lot less prominent that their alt economy isn't as good. We saw Water kind of using some odd Dragon Blades, a couple odd Dragon Strikes here and there, but for the most part, they understand how to play with Winston and they understand how to play with D.Va. Outside of that, they're a little bit lost. They look uncomfortable.
So let's, you know me, I like to talk about MVPs. I like to take a look at the standout performances from this match. Mushu, who is your standout performer, your MVP of this match?
Yeah, I think, of course, we have to kind of look on the side of Legend Young Beyond then. I'm not going to say Water because I think Valmo will have more to say about Water in that, because I was really looking at, again, I think we pointed out the tank lineup with Hanbin and let's see here, who was on the
Mag.
Yeah, Mag. Yeah, he's not on our team sheet because we haven't really seen him much. But again, without a lot of the history, was able to really, again, be the center point of the team where they're playing around. So for them to be going against Team CC and for them to be to make them look in that way, I think there's something a lot more than we can't always see in the game itself with the POVs and whatnot, where the tanks are in the space that they're occupying. So I think just how much that the tank line of Team CC did not look good, I think that you have to really give that to LYB's tanks. They just didn't seem to ever have a crack in the armor for when they're under duress, and even with all the swaps that are happening, right, they're never thrown off. And I think at the core of it, when you see a lot of changes on the other side, your tank line has to be the one that is remains strong in the team being able to play around those heroes.
That's a great pick.
Yeah, no, I think that's really solid, especially when we look at, I think you could even say Well Play was actually quite good as well. He's not my MVP vote, but for somebody who I haven't seen play on LYB quite often, at least in this season, he's looked solid on picks that aren't necessarily the most optimal, maybe we'll say. But for me, I gotta look at Coach Insane. He's listed on Liquipedia as a coach. Is he a coach? It's hard to tell with what the kind of performance he put on today. He looked great. He looked, where Swift had a very streaky performance, they always could rely on Insane to come in on Volskaya. He kind of was the second half Widow player that they kind of always tended to sub in if Swift had a rough time. And he was on deck full day, and it looked really good. So if he actually is coaching behind the scenes and is able to pick up the play and kind of coach the team, in the server, that's a big bonus for me.
Yeah, and I do want to jump on that too, because I think that's the kind of the point I was trying to get at as well. Now that you mentioned that, Valmo, because it was it was a really big contrast between the teams. Of course, even just all the swaps, why is that happening in